Hey guys, I hope you're as excited as I am for the new DST update that's coming out. They just had a dev live stream yesterday, and then they fixed a few crashes, and they released it into beta. The footage I'm going to be using is from the beta because they just showed us everything in the beta. The things that they didn't show us, I just looked around and saw my friends that did play the beta just told me how it works. So I'm just going to put all the information that I know into this video so it's easy for you guys to understand. So, first off, the first thing that they added is Winona is now able to go across the gaps in the caves with her vine bridge. So that's really good for early game. I'm sure a lot of boss rushers will probably do something like that, or people who like to rush bosses total, or mainly Ancient Fuel Weaver. Maybe she'll be the fastest one to kill him. I doubt it now. Compared to Warthog's probably not the fastest, but Winona will have some nice quality of life there. To go alongside this, though, because of this mechanic being added, they also added the ability to craft bridges. Now, these bridges can go over 3 tile gaps in the caves. I personally want it to be bigger because I was testing out some of the stuff, and there's a lot of parts that are in the caves that are just way more than 3 tiles. It seems like you're going to have to rely on real good RNG just for these bridges to get any use. So that's kind of frustrating. Maybe just make it so when you're holding like a stack, it places all of them at once so you can do a longer bridge. I don't see any reason for it to be limited because the logistics of it is it hangs from the ceiling, so you don't have to worry about it only being attached to one end. It can literally just go off and hang in the void because it's hanging from the ceiling of the caves. So I'm hoping they fix that. I also noticed the atrium spikes and the obelisks block the bridges from being placed, so that's something that they should probably focus on and rework because you weren't able to place bridges in the atrium, which would have been the nicest way to like get to Fuel Weaver faster. That's probably one of the main things people would use bridges for. So I'm hoping they fix something like that because that's probably the biggest value we'll get out of them. The newest addition to late game content for a enemy to fight is the new Depth Worms mini boss. So how the hounds a while back got replaced with a Varglit. I think it's a Warglit. When you get to late game, that way you don't get millions of hounds. This mini boss will now spawn with other depth worms, and you basically fight it. It's like an updated rework of the Pugilisk boss from Hamlet. However, this one you cannot hit the boss while it is moving at all. The only way you can damage it is if it is standing still to digest or chew on someone. So the only way to kill this boss is by sacrificing one of your followers to get eaten by it. And it does, while it digests you, it does 500 damage about. I wasn't sure about the exact damage. But it does over 500 damage, I'm pretty sure. So it will one-shot you even with light armor. So that's kind of nutty. You definitely don't want to be eaten. I think the only thing that could really protect you is either the Thulicite Crown with the damage reduction so you don't get like spam hit, because it does hit you a lot. It's like getting hit by monkeys in the caves. Or maybe night armor could be enough if you stack it, but I don't know. It's gonna be crazy. You definitely don't want to be the sacrifice because it will kill you. They also added a ton of new shadow items. So the first one is a boomerang that has reverse fall off damage. So the farther away from the targets you're throwing at, the larger the damage amount goes up to be. And this boomerang has a nice side effect of giving you plus 10% movement speed. There hasn't been many options or many items or weapons like that, and so that 10% movement speed plus being a ranged weapon is kind of nutty. I think that's actually going to be a really good weapon. And of course, it's shadow aligned, so it has planar damage, does more against lunar aligned, more against plane, and then a little bit typical planar stats. So that's really interesting. Now, the next item is a maul. It's a shadow axe. So much like we have the Bright Shade Smasher, which deals with rocks and structures in one, it's like a pickaxe and a hammer in one. The maul is a weapon and a axe in one. So it chops down trees and it has life steal. So this weapon, it starts off with about what was it? I think it was 48 damage total, and then some of it's obviously planar. They said it was, or when they showed it on stream, it was 48, and then when they upgraded it, it went up by 4 points. So I'm assuming it goes up by 4 for each level. So you go from 48 to 52 to 56 probably. And I'm not sure exactly what bosses you need to kill for it. They said any boss that is an epic status boss will upgrade the small. So they killed 3 Deerclopses, and it upgraded the axe to tier 2. And so this weapon has 3 levels. It has level 1 that it starts with, level 2, and level 3. And you can tell the levels by the little eyes on the axe. And the axe increases the damage it deals, but it also increases the lifesteal, and it has another bonus where it chops trees faster. So it starts out chopping trees a bit faster, and then as you level it up, it chops trees even faster. So this thing is going to be really insane, honestly. You can use it for a weapon that heals you, and then you can also use it as a weapon or as a really good efficient axe. Probably the best late game axe in the game, better than the try to think of the glass axes you can get for the lunar that chop really quick. I'm pretty sure level 3 version of this axe is faster than that. I haven't tested that, but I'm just gonna suspect that because when you compare it to the Brightshade Smasher, the Brightshade Smasher is literally the best pickaxe and the best hammer in the game, so it makes sense that they would make the best axe because we have yet to have the best axe or a good late game axe. So it makes sense for it to be the best. So that's pretty interesting. They added some huge quality of life changes to Beefalo. Well, it's not quality of life change, but there is a new bell that can be crafted, and the bell, when you attach it to a Beefalo, gives it immunity to dying, basically. When it dies, instead of it kind of fading away like it usually does, it now can be revived if it has been attached by the Shadow Bell. Um, so it does consume the bell and breaks it, and it caps out it halves your health, and you lose a shit ton of sanity. But it revives your beefalo, so you don't ever have to worry about your fully domesticated beefalo dying. And then so on top of this, they have also added a shadow saddle. Or nightmare saddle. I believe it's the nightmare saddle. But the nightmare saddle is insane. It gives your beefalo 45% movement speed. It gives 18 planar damage. It gives 15 planar defense, and on top of it, it has 60% armor or 60% armor reduction, I believe. So it takes 60%. It basically gives your Beefalo armor, gives your Beefalo almost 50% faster movement speed. It gives your Beefalo planar damage on top of the damage the Beefalo already does. So that 18 plus the Beefalo is going to be making the Beefalo do a lot of damage. And it has planar defense, so it can fight planar bosses. And you can even more realistically fight bosses now because you don't have to worry about your Beefalo dying because you can just revive it. Now, all of these shadow items, they do require an atrium heart, so you have to either farm, kill the shadow set pieces to get these things, or you can just do the gunpowder method, just get a bunch of hearts at once. So that will be pretty nice. I do know that these items, the maul, the scythe that we already have, obviously, and the nightmare saddle actually stacks with the cowl, the little robe thing that was in the rifts of the red robe head piece, the cowl. When you wear that on the scythe or the current weapon, the more you hit without taking damage, the more the damage increases. And this damage increase applies to the new axe maul, and it also applies to the nightmare saddle. So your Beefalo has stacking damage if you are good at kiting. So not only will the Beefalo be doing insane planar damage, it'll have insane armor, insane movement speed, and it'll be stacking damage. So the Beefalos are about to become some of the strongest weapons in the game because not only does your Beefalo tank all the damage for you, it's really fast and it does a lot of damage. So I don't know. I think people who like fighting with Beefalos, they're definitely going to be eating with this update. Now, there's this kind of new creature they added called the Mimic, and it can false duplicate of any item or whatever you leave on the ground in the caves. And basically, if you pick up the fake item, you won't be able to tell until you use it. And when you use it, it plops out of your hand and then runs away. So it's literally there just to troll you. And the only way you can get rid of it is you just step on it and it turns into nightmare fuel. It's just a funny little interaction, but it can screw you over if you have you pick up a weapon for a boss fight and then you get there and you start fighting and it's the fake weapon after you started it, then it gets really scary. So there's that. And there's also a new ink blight they added that's like a little snake, and the ink blight tries to jump in the air behind you and bite you. It's supposed to be sneaky and stealthy. They said they're talking about it wanting to just be like a mob you can encounter anywhere in the caves, kind of like the ink blights, but it's solo. And it's gonna like, sneak up on you. They haven't fully implemented all of the changes, but they did say it was gonna be a sneaky little guy trying to mess with you in the caves. Plus, the loot that it drops, your horror and the tatters, I think will be pretty nice just on the go if you ever come by one. Definitely worth the kill. Those are good items, especially now that you can craft a lot more late game items. They also added a blob in the miasma of the rifts in the caves. So it basically, I think it's like a quality of life, so you don't have to keep clearing out the miasma yourself, but it's also obviously you still have to deal with something. Now, this thing basically falls from the sky and absorbs the miasma around it. So you still got to be careful because if it falls on you, it will digest you and you can get eaten, kind of like the worm. There's two things in this update that can eat you, so I don't know why, but it is pretty funny. But the miasma, when you kill it, it drops a bunch of nightmare fuel, so it seems like it'll be a good nightmare fuel farm. And I think it's a pretty good mob overall. It's kind of cute, honestly. But I think they just added it to help clear up the miasma. Okay, I also forgot there is a new shadow mob that spawns post-rift in the ruins. It's a nightmare creature, and it is pretty dangerous. I think it's just supposed to be a late game like variant of it, but it's cool to fight, and I guess it'll be something else I die to abundantly in the ruins. The final thing that they showcased us is actually pretty neat. It's called the Rabbit King. So you basically go up to any rabbit hole in the savanna biome, and you feed it 20 carrots, and the Rabbit King will pop out. You can also spawn it by picking up a lucky rabbit. So sometimes a lucky rabbit will come out of one of the holes. It turns the lucky rabbit into the Rabbit King, or spawns him. But basically, this guy is a new trader. He can trade you a little. In the carrot suit, if you're standing nearby bunny, it gains loyalty automatically. So you can basically gain bunnymen just by standing near them. So people who like to use bunnymen to fight Bee Queen, I know that's a very common method. All you have to do is you go to your bunny farm, you put on the carrot suit, and then they become loyal and they follow you around, and you can go fight things. It's pretty cool. It also makes it so if you wear the carrot suit, it makes it so you can have meat in your inventory and they don't smell it and they won't attack inventory. So this carrot suit is very good for having followers. I think it's kind of an interesting change because the bunnymen are notoriously only in the caves, but you can bring them upstairs. But with the new boss, like the depth worm boss, I think they're gonna maybe they want us to use the bunnyman as a sacrifice to kill the boss. So you lead it over there, and then the poor bunnyman gets eaten, so you can kill it. I think that's pretty fun. That's cool. That's definitely some huge quality of life there. They also added this little rabbit hat you can put on, and it makes normal rabbits not run away from you. And I believe they want to make it so you can pick up rabbits just by wearing the hat, which will be great because WX needs lots of rabbits for his speed circuits, and you need it for other nice things like, well, I guess you only really need it for the shadow manipulator, but it'll be nice for WX and like early game stuff, and I think that's why this is so easily accessible early game because getting to pretty easy because carrots world most people pick up carrots for food. So if you really want this stuff early on, you can. It's also pretty nutty though because the third weapon that the Rabbit King has is the horn, and the horn it basically works as a discount Maxwell's like shadow void chest. Call it up, and a little dirt hole opens up next to you. You open up the dirt hole, and it has 12 slots in it. The 12 slots, uh, it has 12 slots in it, and it opens for 3 minutes, and then it closes. And then anytime you blow the horn, all the items that you put inside will go to where it was at. It is communal, so everybody shares the hole. The devs actually called it the communal hole, which everybody had a funny laugh about on the stream. Then there is also, if you attack the Rabbit King, it turns into another mini boss who spawns Shadow Bunny Men that pop up out of the ground. They said the Bunny Men, the Shadow Bunny Men, isn't like the final art. They're gonna have like their own art, for their own unique Bunny Men. But the Rabbit King will turn into the Rabid King and the Rabid Rabbit, and it will start. And there's a cool little dodge its kick in the air, and then it lands on its head, and you can kill it. And if you do kill it, it drops a staff, like a Rabbit King staff, and I am not quite sure what this staff with Bunnyman. If I figure it out, I'll post it in the comment, and I will pin it in the video. That way you guys know, So when that gets figured out, I'll put that there. It looks like in this update. Now, I'm very excited for this update. The late game items they added are huge. Like it's got me super excited, especially to actually like the Beefalo stuff because those are just huge Beefalo stuff. But the boomerang looks fun. The maw looks fun. And you actually have you have a purpose for the Shadow Atrium hearts. So now I'm actually gonna be able to use those hearts for something. All the extra ones, I mean, you already use them to fight Fuel Weaver a bunch, but like these actually have a purpose. So it'll be interesting to actually farm those. But as hotfixes come out, I will make other YouTube videos on the hotfixes. That way you guys do not miss any content. I will probably just review the patch notes much like I do my DBD stuff, but I know a lot of you that are seeing this video here, and for those people, I would just like to let you know that I mainly do DVD content. However, whenever new updates come out for DS, I will cover them on my YouTube, and I will also eventually be doing little Let's Play series coming when this update comes out, I'm actually going to be playing it on stream. So if you want to see the Let's, if you want to see more DST comment, you could always sub DVD. Um, that is a completely different game. You don't have to watch those videos, but I will be posting DST content, and I do appreciate all of you guys. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.